Yo, what is happening? And welcome to day 20 of Couchdoodles Live Inktober edition. Today's word of the day is tread. If I look like I'm in a great mood, it's because I am. My boy turned 6 today. You know Harrison. If you've been hanging out, you met him on our stream here. Really proud of him. What up, Chauncey? You are first, my man. Good to see you. Thanks for joining today. Today's Sunday, the 20th of October, and it was 6 years ago today that my wife's water broke early. My little man decided he was done chilling inside and wanted to join us here in this crazy place called life. So today's been quite productive. I was working a lot. Got to also go out, have some lunch with the boy, so it was a fine balance of dad, husband, employee, artist, creator, and I've taken up a new hobby of sculpting, where it seems like the major portion of the sculpting happens in the passenger seat of my wife's car. Whenever we go to Walmart or when we went to the aquarium yesterday, I did some sculpting. Yo, kick in the door, waving the fofo. Telling them, please, Chauncey, don't hurt them no more. Happy Sunday to you guys. So, like I said, today's word is tread. It could be a lot of things. It could be tire tread, tank tread, don't tread on me, said the flag. You can also have judge tread, little mashup there, which is ridiculous. Star tread, it's even worse. Dawn of the tread. Yes, you can tell I've been dadding all day long. And I've said it before. There are times where I've heard the old adage of you become an amalgamation of the 5 people you hang out with the most. That would make me my mother-in-law, my wife, my 8-month-old, and my children, other children. The 8-month-old is not a child, she's an angelic being. Yes. How do you like the light today? I did a little bit of ambiance, as they call it. I want to show you the thing I sculpted. I'm going to change over here to our desktop cam so I can show you what I have. Okay, this guy right here. Let me scooch over. Here we are. So I did this guy. I decided I wanted to do something kind of cartoon looking. Something you would see in a CG movie, you know. I started with the hair. I used a little tool to kind of pull it out, like pine cone kernels or nuggets or whatever you call those things. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I can. That's much better to be able to zoom in. I was able to create some eyelids and eyeballs, and eventually I'll be brave enough to create teeth. But this is my first cartoony sculpt, and then the one I had done one before was this little skull, and you can see size-wise how small the skull is in relation to our cartoon guy. So the smaller one was much harder. Plus, this Sculpey is much softer than this one. I tend to like the firmer one. And also the one difference between what I'm doing now versus what I was doing in the beginning is I'm starting to watch some sculpting videos. What up, Mr. Green? Welcome. Hello. As always, it is a pleasure to have you chilling with us, my friend. Today is day 20. We have only a few more days, 11 more days till Halloween. My kids love that holiday. I have some good memories. I have some crazy memories. A lot of just wild memories revolve around Halloween, especially as a kid. Halloween's fun. Personally, my favorite is Thanksgiving. You know, the obvious is the delicious meal, but it really gives us a time to express gratitude. And I find that expressing gratitude sometimes, just stopping and being thankful for what we have, is usually uplifting, because sometimes I get kind of in the muck. Let's call it that. You get in the muck and you get in your own head. I tell my daughter, you get into your feelings too much. She lets her feelings override logic, and I think as adults we do that too. So I think if we take a little gratitude break. What up, Chris? How are you, sir? Thank you for joining us. Today we're gonna do tread, and as you can see by the format change, we're gonna be doing some live drawing. I'm gonna mess around with those pit pens again. Probably something vehicle based since tread. Maybe some more sci-fi. Maybe Batman based. Because when I think of tread, it's weird. The first thing that comes to mind every time I hear the word is the Dark Knight and his big old chunky Batmobile. I love that Batmobile. And I have strong memories that revolve around music. I don't know about you guys and what music means to you, but I can hear songs going back to probably around 77, 78, and I can hear a song and within 1 year accuracy, most of the time I could tell you what year it came out just based on memories alone. Like music makes memories pop up. And I remember the very first, what's up, Mr. W? Welcome, sir. I remember the very first time I ever experienced the concept of synchronicity, you know, where the things in the universe line up, you know, like you say a sentence and you hear the same sentence on TV, or, you know, you think of someone and they call you and you guys are thinking about the same thing, or whatever. And what was really strange, it was 1986, and we were going to this place in Northern California called Great America. It's like a amusement park. Six Flags, I think, owns it now, and there's a lot of Six Flags, so I'm sure you guys know what that is. And they had this ride there called the Demon. I'd never ridden it before. I was kind of scared. Loop-de-loops and things. I'd been on the Giant Dipper, the Big Dipper over at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, but nothing like the Demon, and the name Demon's scary. But I remember I was in the back. What up, Mark? How are you, sir? I remember when I was in the back of it was a church van. Okay, it was a church van. It was a church trip, which is part of the story, actually. But I'm in the back, and I have my little backpack of comics, and I got my little portable radio with my headphones. And I reached into my backpack. Venus by Bananarama, which is a cover, but Venus by Bananarama was playing in my headphones. And when I grabbed the comic and I looked at the words, I mouthed the words Dark Knight. And in the song, the singer says, black as a dark night she was. And literally when I mouthed the words Dark Knight, it's as if I was lip syncing to the song that was in my head without even thinking about it, looking at a Dark Knight comic. And I even remember, if you guys ever, you'll totally get this if you've ever done it. Dark Knight has a certain smell to it, like especially a first printing of the book. I'm not talking the trade, I'm talking the actual book. If you give it a nice smell, it's got a sort of a chalky powdered milk smell. That's the only way I know how to explain it. And anyway, so I'm bringing up music too for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is I was thinking of maybe, and it's up to you guys if you'd like to, I was thinking about journeying into a sub cave of the cave where I make music, and maybe after we draw, depending on how much time we have, perhaps show you how a song is made. I can make one pretty quick, make one in about 8 minutes as far as some of the beats that you hear. Speaking of which, that's what's missing. I'm going to head over here and put your beats on. Hey yo, put your beats on. There we go. The song is called 007. I don't know why it's called that. XYZ, what up? Height, width, and depth, my man. I love that. I love that. I know the meaning of it now, and it makes me happy because I believe it was you yesterday that was asking about getting better at anatomy. And one of the things that I forgot to mention, what up, Akuma? How are you, sir? One of the things that I had failed to mention is this sort of change of a mindset when you're drawing. And that mindset is to think in 3D. Always be thinking in 3D. There's all kinds of stuff I'm going to dip into when we start doing more of these live sessions and maybe even some of the pre-taped ones, because I realize my format should be live, and some of the things that I want to have a little bit more polish to, cleaned up, are things that I need to edit. Well, I can always show them during the live. So I think I've solved the issue of how to do what I want to do. So anyway, talking about that peripherally, the reason I bring up the word peripherally is, have you ever looked at something but not at something, right? Like, if you look at my nose, but also be aware of everything around my nose. So you're almost looking through my head. And I'm not talking about those 3D posters you see in the mall, like mall rats, but kinda. So when you draw initially, if you visualize the thing like I was talking about before, and you kind of draw peripherally, you're not focused on the end of your drawing implement. Okay? What up, Mr. Milton? You're not focused on your drawing implement. So what's interesting, and I find it fascinating, as I get older, some of the things that I take for granted, like Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon. I've seen that movie so many times. That and Rambo First Blood Part 1. I used to have them on audio tape, 90-minute audio tape. And I would, obviously, I couldn't get all of the movie on Rambo especially, but I used to put those in my Walkman, and whenever I'd skateboard somewhere or walk somewhere, I would listen to it. And one of the great quotes from Bruce Lee, and it's one that we all know, is don't concentrate on the finger or you'll miss all of that heavenly glory. I've heard it so many times, and it's like a finger pointing away to the moon, and he says, slap, he smacks Lau in the head. It's Lau's time. He slaps Lau upside the dome, and he says, don't concentrate on the finger or you'll miss all the heavenly glory. It hit me like a ton of bricks one day that a lot of my problems as an artist was I was concentrating on the finger. And if you think of the end of your pencil as the end of the finger, and you're trying to think about the line and the rendering and like this line, this line, this line, and this curve and this thickness, and you get into that end of that pencil, that finger, you're missing all the heavenly glory. What you should be focusing on while you're drawing, and you have to like almost remove yourself out of your body and be in the picture, is focus on the moon, not the finger. Focus on the thing you're drawing, not the end of your pencil. And think of that XYZ. Of course, you're thinking about how things fit on the flat surface, but you also have to think about the depth of things and what's behind things and really get a sense of the space. And that's what I want to talk about as far as learning how to draw better anatomy, is also thinking of things spatially. Hey, you were talking about on Cartoonist Kayfabe. There's a sketch you did for Eddie in Pittsburgh. Oh no, I'm gonna write that down right now. Yeah, I met little Eddie way back in the day. That's another important lesson for us, is treat everybody right, because you never know, right? You never know. And little Eddie P became Big Eddie P. Big Ed Piscor, and that's my homie, that's my dog, and that's pretty cool. I met him, I think he was like 12, but like in '94 I was like maybe 21. But he showed me his stuff. It showed a lot of talent, a lot of drive and energy. Had I been a dick about it and told him, go fuck yourself, kid, or you'll never make it, who knows what could have happened. I think Ed would have just done it anyway. You know, I think Ed would have just done it anyway. Also, this is some self-improvement shit, right? Like if you're gonna hone yourself, there's a thing, a word, right, that I think about regarding how we draw. And like when you hear someone with a good voice and they have full command over their voice, they can go up the notes, down the notes, hold, go into a vibrato, switch back up, come back down, like as far as their vocal range. And you say, that person has control. Or someone like Scott Williams throwing the lines, and they're these long parallel lines that are doing graduated sweeping, and there's just a machine precision to it that you'd say that guy has control. And then you think about the word self-control, right? And a lot of us think of self-control as stopping oneself from doing something. Oh, I want that donut, I better exert self-control. I feel like that the meaning of that word is only partially thought upon. You know, if you think about real self-control, what about taking yourself as a project and sculpting yourself, you know? And when I think about that, I think about the time travel thing we talked about earlier this month. And the time travel thing is this. Shed all of your doubts and inner dialogues about I'm not good enough and all that shit. Just shed it all for a moment. And then you think to yourself, who am I really? Who do I know I'm supposed to be? Who am I? And you project yourself into the future. And you could be anything. That's the power of imagination, and that's the power of, they call it manifestation or the law of attraction or whatever. You say, people are gonna look at me and they like me. This is gonna be some, what is his name, Guy Smiley or whatever said, they like me, they really, no, but people like you, they respect you. They look to you for an example of how to do things. People want to work with you. So you see yourself like that, going into rooms, being in situations, social gatherings where you can stand confidently knowing that, right? And people will say, I knew him or her win. I knew them win. And then, as soon as you open your eyes, you've time traveled back to where you are now. And the only thing you got to do to be that person is behave like that person would behave to get there. That to me is part of self-control, you know, dialing those things out. Anyway, we got 13 people in here. Today is day 20 of Inktober edition of Couchdoodles Live. I'm your host, Fragaboom. Today is the 20th of October, my man Harrison's 6th birthday. He got a bike, a lot of penguin stuff. The boy likes penguins. We're gonna draw the word tread, and then we'll probably make a little bit of music. We've been in this session now for about 20 minutes. I'll tell you something funny. Some of you guys who jumped in, if you were waiting right at 9, I had started the show right at 9 and realized I didn't hit go live. So I was talking to this camera and going, where is the feed? And I looked down and I said, it's because I hadn't pressed start yet. Good times. I'm going to turn the music down just a little. There we are. Does anybody have? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I enjoyed doing that. I have a. We'll see this shortly. In fact, I'm gonna jump into drawing quicker. Maybe not deal too much with questions unless you guys have them. But I learned this sampler called the EXS24, and it's a sampler in Logic where you can take any piece of audio, whether it's an intro from a song you know, it's beats, it's a phrase, it's whatever, and you can go in and you can cut up parts, little tiny parts, little samples or slices, and then assign each of those slices to a key. So if you ran your fingers up the keyboard, dun 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 ding ding dun, and it's the full song. If you just ran your fingers across the keyboard, it's the slices of the song. So you can do that, and you can isolate snares, you can isolate bass lines, you can isolate a whole chorus phrase like dun 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 dun, dun like that, and you can do that and then use that, get it nice and perfect, tempo stretch it out, and then drop your beat in on it, right? The other thing you can do with the ESX, which is a lot of fun, is you can take one sound, maybe it was somebody go, ain't no stopping us, like that, and you can take that one phrase and run it all the way across the keyboard, so you have like that way down low, and then like a chipmunk on the other side, and you can actually use that as an instrument. So you can take your voice and sample yourself going yeah, and then sample that, throw a plug-in on it, stretch it out, compress it down, EQ it, and now you have an instrument that's just your voice. I did that with some beatbox once. What up, Mark? How are you, man? How are you? How are you? Thank you for joining. We are lucky 14. That's 2 7s. So we're going to jump into drawing, and we're drawing the word tread today. I'm going to show you, some of you guys who weren't here when we started. I'll show you this new hobby I got. It is sculpting. I like to sculpt, and I sculpt in the car while my wife is driving, or if she's in Walmart, and I enjoy it because it feels like drawing, but I also feel very lost when I do it. Like I'm not quite sure how to do stuff, and like I think something's right and the symmetry gets off, and I enjoy the fact that I mess up a lot, and that's a lot of fun. That's a terrible amount of fun is what that is. You know, be excited to fail, because that means you're that much closer. You're learning what not to do. All right, let me adjust this camera so we are all in. Gotta adjust the focus and the balance based off of that. Here we are, we're in. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. I'm gonna take the bug off. Say this, you are watching the Couchdoodles show with your host, Fragaboom. All right, so tread. This is what I'm seeing in my head, and I'm gonna show you like my magic tricks. They're not really magic. What up, Broadwell? How are you, sir? I like your icon. That's a cool Batman. I was thinking of drawing some Batman today. So what I'm gonna do is show you what I see in my head, based on an outline. I'm just gonna come in and outline it. Remember, small is finer than fine, so this is fine is the one I want. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm gonna move this over. Let's see where the top of my shot is. It's right there. There we go. So I see that. How high up can I go? I can go right here. All right. So that's what I'm seeing in my head. That's the basic shape that I'm seeing, and I'm doing the peripheral drawing where I'm looking at the whole thing and kind of defining it, not looking directly at the end of the pencil. Remember the thing I was saying about don't concentrate on the finger? And so we're going to jump in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on details. So this part right here is the front wheel that I was seeing. And remember, we're dealing with tread, so I'm going to go in here and put the bat thing here on the wheel. What up, Andrew J? How are you, sir? Thank you for joining today. Glad to have you. You guys see where I'm going with this? Again, if you think of things in 3D space, I'm seeing that this is closer to the camera and receding away. So this tire is this big, while that back tire is this big. So we know that there's a vanishing point down here, which is saying we're low to the ground. Okay? So right now I'm seeing some of the armor on the Batmobile here. So I would say it goes like this. And we're going to deal with a bit of asymmetry. This is going to come up and across like that. I'm going to say maybe this is the eye hole that he looks out of. I'm going to say there's some big type of shock thing here. Again, to me this almost feels like edge pieces of a puzzle, right? As I draw each position of each thing informs positions of the other thing. I knew this tire was big. I knew this receded back. I knew once I drew this that I would have the right measurements to bring the other half of this. I knew when I put this here, because of this would go here. You see what I'm saying? Yo, what up, Circuit? What it Mountain Dew? What it do? That's a Bay Area thing, dude. That sounds like Vallejo, Benicia, San Mateo. All those people with a Wild 107. Remember Wild 107? And before that, it was KSOL, 94.9 KSOL. But it was then they sold it and it became Wild 107. And I was working at Diamond Comics when that happened. Wild 107. This was insanity. Wild 107 decided to play Tone Loc's Wild Thing for 24 hours straight. So you would guess that working in there and the guy not changing the radio station might drive you a little nuts. If you have a beverage, raise it up. Happy birthday to my boy Harrison. Let's jump back into tread. So here we are here. If I do this, is this the medium? No, it's fine. It feels weird. If I do this like this, this informs me where those little bat fin things go that I see in my head. So then here, take this down, there's that direction there. Creating some design cues that remind me of Knight Rider. So I try to think of aggressive, what would look aggressive, and I think of like gills on a fish, things like that. And Harrison said he wished he could have been here with us. So you guys, he's He digs you folks a whole lot. So here we're doing a thing called overlap, where I'm using this to create the idea of depth, this being in front of this being in front of this, which gives us a little bit of separation between these planes. One of the things I like to do too is I like to mix some of what we know with other stuff we don't. So like if I take this and I say, let's where'd be a good spot to put that? Nah, I'm not gonna do those. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I see them. I'm testing them out in my head. Yeah, I'm gonna do it like this. So those classic style lights we see on the tops of Jeeps or dune buggies, you know. That's what I'm adding in right now. These sort of round ones. Let's go with that, and my symmetry's off a little bit right there. This happens. And we don't care. We just keep moving. And we just let the idea of that symmetry, we put a fourth light here and say, fuck symmetry, right? Now it looks spacey and unquantized if we do that. It didn't have to have perfect symmetry. Happy Sunday to you guys. Happy 20th. I think it's something about Sloth Day today. I'm not quite sure. He's popping up and out, so I'm gonna put this like that. Shoop. I want to say this opens up. It doesn't open like a hatch. It opens up in like a weird sort of diamond, like the Hellraiser box. See, that's what I'm saying about taking familiar things and flipping them. That's why yesterday we went to take a look at Pinterest, because we can pick up little design notes off of things. And right now I'm just doing things based off of stuff I know. I'm going to say this thing has big, like, sort of, not forklift teeth, but, you know, like on a bulldozer, like big scoopy things. And when I'm doing that, I'm actually thinking about like what a crab looks like. So then here, I'm gonna put some spikes. I'm gonna alternate the direction that they're going in. So some are out, some are in, like that. And then we put these up, like that. What up, D? How are you, man? It's good to see you. Thank you for joining. So we got these spikes there. Maybe some on the underside, maybe we're saying it rotates. And also the other thing, I don't know if you guys can tell I'm doing it, but I'm trying to simulate a Dark Knight style aesthetic. He'll appreciate that, D. Thank you. What up, Mr. LaRock? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. So now we're working on the sides of the vehicle. Doing the armor plating that I see. Kind of like an armadillo shell, how it goes over, kink, 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 like that. I imagine that it could open or do something else. All right. Put a weird fender back here. to make these wheels kind of work at an angle too, like this, because they're a weird sort of four-wheeling tread. There we go. Boom. All right, so I created this tread here, which means that I want to alternate and put one here. Then there'll be that same one here. This one now is going to sort of change direction. This didn't quite line up the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. Again, as I'm drawing this, I'm thinking about the shape of it more than I'm thinking about the lines. I'm just trying to create lines that reinforce the shape that I'm seeing. Hopefully you guys can see what's happening with this this Batmobile. Circuit, the comics I worked on. Thank you for asking. That's a great question. I'll start with the stuff you've heard of, and then I'll work into some of the stuff. And I'm not going to assume that you've heard of any of it, and I'm not going to assume that you didn't. So let's start over again. I worked on Wolverine. I worked on Superman. I worked on the Powerpuff Girls. I worked on Witchblade. I worked on Supreme, Youngblood, Bloodstrike, Black Flag, and currently I'm working on He-Man. So those are just some of them. Those are some of the books that I did over the long haul. Oh yeah, I've worked on Spider-Man too, even though it was the only time I worked on Spider-Man where it was like I got to draw Spider-Man was Spider-Man Bad Rock. And then the issue I got to do of Spider-Man featured him in 2 panels, and he wasn't doing anything but sitting around, and that didn't really feel that good. And when I say didn't feel good, I'm saying it just didn't really satisfy the thing that I was hoping it would. You know, that wanting to draw Spider-Man fighting his villains and slinging webs and shit. Instead, I'm drawing like basically a police story with a monster in it. It's like a monster police story, and that's cool. Ain't no problem with monster police stories. But when you sign up to do a Spider-Man, you don't think you're going to be doing a monster police story. You know? All right. So now we're going to mess around a little bit with some texture. Okay? Let's mess with some texture since we're in at 38 minutes. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger with the small. The extra small is a little too small for what I was hoping for. So you basically saw me outline this thing, but based off of the shape I saw in my head. So now what I'm gonna do is throw a little detail, a little bit of texture to see what happens with it. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to draw that Batman guy. What up, ADC Art Attack? It is Batman, you are correct. I'm doing the word tread, and I figured let's do the Batman. So now I'm thinking mostly about the gesture that I'm seeing in my head. I saw him putting his shoulder forward. There's his tricep, like that. putting some tread down for the bottoms of his feet. There's some tread happening there. How do you deal with creativity blocks? Chauncey coming in with a good question. I go to Pinterest. I take a walk. Usually Pinterest will do the trick. I don't have them that often. That's the funny thing is I don't really have them too often anymore, but I understand that they happen, and they always happen when you don't need them. Like I noticed that sometimes my ability to maintain self-control, and I don't mean control, I mean like mastery over oneself. Like the thing that I like is like when thy will be done, right? Like I think that's the ultimate of it. When I say thy will be done, I'm saying like I think it and then I make it happen. Some days it's easier than others, and then some days it's really difficult. And those difficult days, it doesn't really feel like so much like a creativity block. It feels a lot more like constipation. That's the only way I could really say it. Is it just gets that like stuff isn't coming out the way I want it to, versus not being able to see stuff, because I've had that seeing stuff affliction since I was a little kid, and where that came from is I grew up on a small piece of property that was mostly chickens, like chicken farm, and we had other things, but like my dad had us kids doing a lot of chores, and I ended up getting this radio that could get TV stations, and I listened to a lot of cartoons and a lot of TV shows, and like I said, I also listened to Enter the Dragon and First Blood Part 1, and really just imagined them in my head. So it's more about it's not having creativity, it's about the thing that's in my head isn't coming out. Did you miss the pole dance? Pole dance. Man, I don't dance unless you fling the rain. All right. His head's a little big, but that is what it is sometimes, So this is going to cast a shadow. This is going to cast a shadow. I'm going to start adding the value in here. Do I ever use whiteout to correct a line? You see some spots where I could, right? You'll notice, and it's something I take great pride in, and like, it's just one of those weird kooky things that I do, but I try, especially when I do covers, to not use a lick of whiteout unless that whiteout is being used as an effect, right? Like a halo or something like that. But yeah, on occasion I do. But the one thing that I do, and believe me when I say I try to make sure my covers don't have whiteout, I'll tell you why I don't freak out. I use a kind of ink. I'm I'm going to show it to you guys too. Okay, I use a kind of ink. It's the best, and believe me, when I say something's the best, I want you to believe me. And the reason I want you to believe me is because my pain is your gain. And you'll notice I have no affiliated marketing on this shit. Eventually I will, but I go on a quest just like you guys do to find the things that work. And a lot of the criteria that I use for what makes something work is applicable across the board in a universal sort of way. It's not just like a personal preference. I use this, it's called Talon's India ink, okay? I'm gonna put it underneath here so you can see it even better. Talon's India ink. The reason I use Talon's India ink is very simple. It's waterproof. It dilutes with water well if you're gonna do some washes. But the other thing, and this is going into the discussion we are having regarding whiteout, is that if I make a mistake, I can take an X-Acto knife blade and I can chip the ink off. I can just chip it like and scrape it out, and with almost little to no damage to the paper itself. So then I just ink over the spot I messed up on, and no one will see that. That's the thing that's great about it, is that it's undetectable that any scraping had happened. So that's it. But I don't use a lot of whiteout anymore. And again, I use razor blades, but not necessarily whiteout. See, I'm creating this shape here in Batman's cape. It's abstract, right? It's information that doesn't really apply to reality right now, but it gives this sort of swirl that gives a feeling, right? And that's, at the end of the day, that's what makes comics work. And I think some people hated the Dark Knight sequel, and I had some theories on why Frank did what he did artistically. Some people say, oh, he took the money and ran and all that. But one of the things I was thinking he was doing was creating comics based on feelings. Like there was a visceral nature and a feeling to some of his stuff. And if you tear it apart piece by piece and go, oh, that anatomy's wrong, his legs are too whatever, and you get caught up in the finger and not the moon, you miss out on some good shit. Where the tear's at, Akuma, keep busting me. We'll see, dude. It'll happen. Do you think that creativity involves putting your heart and soul into your work, or is it more like letting your mind flow freely to witness the surprising results of your actions? Chauncey, you deep motherfucker. You are a fantastic question asker, man. You should write questions for this show so I can ask guests these questions. Some of them exist. Some of these questions exist in different shapes or form, but not this one. This is a great question. What is that? Bleach. He took the money. I don't know what that is. He took the money and ran. Who? What are you talking about, Matt Yaki? I don't know what you're talking about. Dark Martins have a good white. I'm trying to see what you're saying, Matt. You crazy man. Okay, so Chauncey. I don't think there's a definitive binary answer regarding your question, and that's not a way of scapegoating it. In fact, I'm going to address it head on. I'm an avid believer that we are spiritual beings, and that what we have to say is our heart and soul. What happens, though, and like I said earlier about my daughter, her biggest problem is she gets into her feelings. She gets so much into her feelings where they are so ever present and so real that a lot of times it overrides things, And I have a saying for that, because I have sayings. I'm going to put this shit on a shirt. Here we go. Oh, See that Bleach, Black, he took the money and run. See, Matt Yackey was one of the guys I used to have debates with. I didn't realize you were here, Yackey. We could have a whole DK2 episode. Here's my quote. It's hard to read the label when you're in the jar. Okay? Take that for what you will. But loosely, it's feelings do matter, but sometimes you don't see how much your subjectivity does not give you an objectivity. So I think letting go, like you said here, letting your mind flow freely and witnessing what happens, there's that. But then being able to take that material and use your heart and soul to push it through. Hopefully that answers. What up, Antonio? Thank you for joining. Jumping into today's word, which is tread. Oh shit. Are you the same Antonio, man? Are you the one that said do it with a twig? It might be you, man. What's happening? Okay, going in here to put the tread on this. And again, I'm thinking about shape. Where are we at? We're at 53. So I got to wrap this up so we can go do the music for a second. I know you do, Matt. We had this, I remember we had this discussion and you guys were like, you're fucking high. But I think sometimes you have to go really far over the line to readjust. And maybe Miller didn't readjust, But I think it's almost it's Picasso-like, dude. And I'll be the first to say that maybe comics aren't the format to be Picasso-like. If people want a Batman sequel and they're paying their money for a Batman sequel. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate that, man. That just comes, I think that comes with just doing it a lot. A lot of familiarity with the pen. In fact, my first 5 years storyboarding, I didn't even have a Cintiq. From 2003 to 2008, I did everything with I forget the name of the pen. It was a Uniball. It's made by Uniball, and it was a roller ball, but I did everything on that, and I did everything on copy paper. And Heritage Auctions earlier last year sold a bunch of my hand-drawn storyboards, including I storyboarded about 10 Usher videos, and all those were in the auction. And what's funny is somebody bought them and then decided that they were gonna break them up and put them on eBay as a separate sheets versus selling the whole job, which I guess that's smart if you're gonna you're doing it to flip, right? There we go. Somebody asked for some tears. Let's do this. And dirt and debris. Let's do that. Put that tear there. Tear here. There we go. This arm would be casting a shadow over here. This one cast a shadow down here. Which artist inker has the best lines? That's a really crazy question. That's like saying who makes the best music, right? I have preferences. Like I like Michael Golden when he inks himself. I like McFarlane when he inks people. I think Adelso Corona is probably the best guy right now. I think Scott Williams is pretty damn good. Kevin Nolan. But again, we're going through different reasons for these things. So like if Barry Windsor Smith is a guy that I think is pretty damn amazing. There's some guys that have gone, like, there's guys whose stuff that is ebbs and flows, Yeah, eBay, man, that's the place to get the early stuff, because I got rid of almost everything, because that's, back in the day, that's how you'd supplement your income, is to sell originals. And now I try to keep them, but I'll tell you what, on Black Flag, a lot of those originals, at least my portion of them, because Adelso's going to be keeping his. I don't know what he's going to do with his, but my portion, they're going to be what do you call it? Tier levels. So you get a Black Flag page, and I plan on making every page badass. So it'll be a good thing, So those aren't. Some of them I'll keep, obviously, because I'll have feelings for some of them, as I do sometimes. Some pages I don't want to get rid of, or if I do get rid of them, they go to people I know, like Will Perdomo, who owns the cover of Black Flag #1, or Jim Reed, who owns the other cover, the McFarlane cover to Black Flag 1. Those guys, I know, have them. I know they'll never get rid of them. If they do, I get first go and all that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. Yeah. Where is that one? Is it over here? Oh, there it is. I'm like looking for it, and I didn't see it. Yo, Antonio, finding that Black Flag ash can is, especially at a flea market, dude. What up, Star-Lord? Make sure you hold on to that ash can, because there's not a lot of them. There will be, what do you call it? Replica editions of the ash can available during the Black Flag campaign. That they're going to be one of the tiers, because I'll be able to recreate them. There'll be design notes that will separate them from the OG ones. But yeah, that's a good one, dude. Shroom. Put these spikes. And when we go and do the music portion of this thing, which we're gonna do in a minute or two, you guys, if you don't want to do music, we can. If you don't want to do music, we don't have to. I don't want to subject you guys to it if you don't want to. If you don't want to get into it. Was this the one I needed to refill? No, this one's refilled. There we go. Just creating some environment sort of stuff underneath the Batmobile, like it's getting some air, and that I should put more mud on it though. I didn't think about doing the other stuff, but the question about the whiteout, I think I'm going to use some. In fact, I believe I will, because the There's some things I want to do, some things I want to fix, and I think the whiteout will do the trick. So we'll do this, boom, like this, and we'll do it creatively, right? So we have that, and then this is what we'll do with the whiteout. And my brand that I prefer for whiteout is they're called Presto. I dig them. Hopefully I get it working. There we go. My son had it for a while. So I'm gonna put some of that mud up and in front. Some of that, and yeah, we're gonna fix that bit of the cape. Boom. Put some mud coming off of him. Boom, boom, boom. Some sloppy mud. Like that. Let that dry. What up, Andre? Andre, my man. It's good to see you, dude. We are gonna come in with here. This whiteout isn't completely dried, so but I'm trying to go fast on this. There we go. Those don't need it. Boom. This comes up. Bam. Shroom, shroom, shroom. Also, for depth reasons, we put some of those chunks in black back there. Do this to make some of those bits come off. The Boombastics. That's great. That's a good name. Nah, man, I like music. I just like making it. That's like it's one of my hobbies. Just like sculpting. For you guys that didn't see it, I'll show you. I've been sculpting, and mostly in the car when my wife is driving. It gives me something to do. I used to do my sketchbook in the car, but I'm finding that being able to do this is a whole lot of fun. I did the hair first, and then you know worked it out, but it was a whole lot of fun, man. Oh, dude, I hate hearing this, man. I hate hearing it. Andre, yeah, I'll show you let me see if I have it. I'll show you the page that I gifted to Andre. Let me show you. First, let's sign this. This is done. Squeeze this out. Whoop. There we are. Let's sign it. 10, 20, 19. T-R-E-A-D. Tread. Or is tread spelled T-R-E-D? Man, my brain. Okay, so here we are. We are going to go over to the Rack of Awesome. The comic Rack of Awesome. And see if I can find the one that our friend Andre Krumov had. There's Brigade 2, Black Flag 3, but okay, here it is. I'm about to break some hearts. I'm gonna break some hearts, especially if Mike Green, are you still here? I'm gonna break your heart, and Chauncey, I'm gonna answer your question, but I'm gonna break Mike Green's heart with the page I gave to Andre, that Andre had in a storage unit that that got sold because it did. Here we go. This one. This is the one. This is it. Kind of a bummer, right? Like, it's Rascal. Double page of Rascal doing his thing in Black Flag 4. So that one's out there. I don't know who has it. If it ever showed up, I would love to buy it back. and then taunt Andre with it. Look what I have, you know. Nah, I wouldn't be that. All right, let's see. Let me get into answering Chauncey's question. All right, Chauncey, how do you manage to stay both personal and original in your creative endeavors? I think the answer to that is being abstract. Oh, look at that! My thing was like a good minute behind. So it's being abstract, right? So like for example, Black Flag. Let me rewind. The originality comes from how you make it personal. Now, let's say that again. The originality comes from how you make it personal. Because there are no original ideas out there anymore, right? Nothing's original. But you can be personal about it, which makes it original. Anytime you take an object and you hit it, or an idea, and you hit it with another idea, it becomes new. That's why some guys like Duchamp really pissed people off, like when he put a broken toilet and signed it and said, "This is art." You know, it's like you can argue it, but in a way he's right. And, you know, but anyhow, like for Black Flag, for example, or The Grave. Let's go with The Grave, because that's a book that's out and you can go get. But Black Flag, I'm not going to give you up secrets because the universe doesn't want me to. That night where I was telling everybody everything, the sound kept going out. What up, Bob Potato? I will answer your question. That is, I'm going to answer your question. That's a great question. So, the Grave. I wanted a story. Like, basically the story was an exploration of the 7 deadly sins, right? You go, wait a second, The Grave is about the 7 deadly sins. Well, that's what I did. I started there. I said the 7 deadly sins. Because I grew up in church and, you know, wasn't Catholic, but was Christian, you know, deal with a lot of guilt and a lot of, why is this wrong? And I understand why this is wrong, but why is the world so wrong? Knowing this is whatever. So, exploration of the 7 deadly sins. And then I said, what if I assign those 7 sins to objects? Like, you know, a knife is wrath, and a spoon is sloth, and a trading card is greed. And, you know, if I did that, what would happen? And then I'd go, well, how does one person get those, you know? And then I thought, well, you know, through a collection of experiences through life, and like, how would anybody find them? Oh, we can tell a story through finding them in a grave, right? So then from there, I threw my friendship with my buddies Pete and Mike, and my buddies Danny and Billy are in there too. We kind of, all those characters kind of embody that. And I took some of our experiences, like hikes and talks and things that we had, and ran the idea of those items through, seeing them through the eyes of kids that were about to stop being kids. This was their last weekend before they joined high school as freshmen, and you know, it's like a boys to men transition, rite of passage. So I wanted to put that in there. And then I put a lot of allegory and story in there based off of my own beliefs. So none of that stuff is original. I mean, kids going on a little hike and having an adventure and finding a dead body, stand by me. We had the astronaut in there, you know, and he went into a place that looked like Star Wars, but I basically remember one of my favorite jokes from when I was a kid, and I put that joke into that bit. So I think, again, making it personal is where the originality will come from. Your originality comes from making it personal. I hope that helps. Let's see. What are your tips on growing on growing and improving your art. That's a fantastic question, Bob. One is to do it every day, and not in the way where they say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. What I mean is when we practice, like if you were a bodybuilder and your pecs were already defined and you're already strong, you would maintain them. But if you wanted to grow them, you would blast them, right? You put heavier weight on and more repetitions and more nutrition. And you have to think of art in the same way, you know? Like what I do is I'll concentrate on something. If I know, like, you know, before I start Black Flag, I know I'm going to look at a lot of gorillas. And I know I'm going to look at a lot of, like, I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to prepare for it, and I'm going to have, like, myself a concentrated amount of time where I blast those things. Another thing that I'm learning, too, is taking up other things, you know, like freestyle rap helped me with visualization. Sculpting is helping me understand form in a deeper way. So I would say draw every day and find what your limitations are and then systematically destroy them. That's my short answer. We'll have a long answer first in one of our specials where I do pre-recorded things, and we'll as a community here, as the Couchdoodles community, because we're forming one. It's awesome to see you guys coming back. I want to see like a checklist of things that you want from me. You know some of the things you're gonna get, but tell me some of the things that you want, and we'll do that. You know, if we want a special on perspective or on composition or drawing routine or visualization, the free flow drawing system, whatever, we'll get in there. That is a major loss. Andrem, sorry, man. The bottle signed by Pantera, they got lost in time. Oh, right, yeah. That's funny, Antonio. You're a funny man. That was funny. Antonio Santiago, you are the one. I remember that was last year. I said ink with anything, and someone said, that's someone being you, said ink with a stick. So I went in my backyard in California and I grabbed a stick and I carved it and I inked with it. But a feather, man, I think that would be fun. Okay, so what I think we'll do is not do the music thing today. We'll end up doing music some other time. I'm glad the answers are helping, Chauncey, man. I'm glad that's the case. We are at an hour and 14 minutes into our adventure here on the Couchdoodles Show. You are watching the Couchdoodles Show. I'm your host, Fragaboom, comic veteran of 28 years, storyboard veteran of 16 years, director veteran of 9 years, dad 8 years, you know, all these things, human being working on it. Antonio, are you related to Comic Vantage? You guys have the same last name. I'm wondering if that, because he was there too. Jason, you're hilarious. See, this is how those, like, I see this deal between Jason and Antonio, and he says, give me your firstborn and I'll give you these autographs, you know? And he's like, yeah, since I'll never have kids, right? But then, like, notice how he had the little devil in there? The devil would be that you get those signatures, you'd love them, but then, just like the other ones, they get put away somewhere in a box. You cherish that box. Like, I have a Jack Kirby pencil that's in a box, but it's put away. But then, miracle-wise, you have twins somehow, some way, because I don't know what your situation is. Oh, the meat popsicle. Okay. But let's just say the miracle happens and you fall in love with that child. Well, suddenly now you have to give that child away. And it's worse than not having signatures. Not saying that that's the real situation. I'm saying that's how, like, Edgar Allan Poe stories work out. Antonio. Yeah, Lewis is I think he's like my age, maybe a little bit younger. So I don't know. I don't know how old you are. When I moved to Georgia, I needed a hat, and the only hat I could find. Every time I put this on, I instantly get like this. I'm in the mode. I got my whiskey. I got my drawings. I got the YouTube on the web. And Bob Potato's asking me about that anime stuff. That's what this hat makes me do. It makes me feel all crazy. I do watch anime. I'm a fan of the classics. I'm slowly learning the new stuff, but let's see. Ninja Scroll, Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Samurai Champloo, One Punch Man, Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Gantz, Black Lagoon. I'm going through Evangelion, Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, some peripheral Pokemon with my son, but that's about the extent. And I know there's a lot of really good stuff out there. Oh, Grave of Fireflies is good. All Studio Ghibli. I don't want to. That's like, to me, when people say anime, I don't mention Miyazaki, because Miyazaki is Miyazaki. He's it's like going, do you read comics? Yeah, I like, this, that, and the other. But then you go, what about Mobius? And you go, oh, Mobius. Mobius is up here. Hey Dan, I was showing you an awesome Pinterest trick about zooming in. I learned something super useful. Thank you. You are welcome. Isn't that cool? I really like that feature. I know it was I know. I know it's a fantastic feature. It's one of those things that especially if you're a designer and you find something you like in a pattern and you zoom in on that pattern, or other instances of something that feels like that comes around. And sometimes when you zoom out of those images, you find sort of trajectories that your brain may not necessarily have looked for. Jason, that's a great question. Are you more partial to full bleed or staying in the safe zone? Well, you will see with Masters of the Multiverse that I am both. In fact, when I want things to feel dangerous, I go full bleed. And when I want things to feel more contained and less dangerous, I put it in the safety zone. I talk about this a lot, guys. Comic books are comic books, and movies are movies. And there's a lot of similarities regarding them, that they tell stories, and they're somewhat linear, and there's words and thoughts and pictures. And even animation is closer to a movie than a comic book, because comic books use conventions that, and I don't mean the ones we go to with the guests and cosplayers and publishers. I mean like traditional conventions. They use conventions that are almost exclusive to comics. It's a language that is unto itself, and I try to employ as many of those things. We can call them tricks, we can call them tools. I try to employ as many of those tricks as I can, and a lot of times I do them without being in your face. They're quite subliminal, and for example, if you look at the grave, there are bordered outlines around the frames. Some of them are white, some of them are black, and some of them have a blue feeling to them. The ones that are white are in present day. The ones that are in black are in the past. The ones that are in blue are of fantasy moments, like stories that are being told or are in someone's imagination in the story. And I did that just as a back of the mind enforcer, as a storytelling tool, because I stripped down everything on the grave to that square format, and I wanted to employ tools. So using full bleed versus safe zone is actually, to me, a tool that you can use. It's in fact, if you're a fan of Watchmen, which I know is airing tonight, which is where probably a lot of people are, I don't know if I'm going to watch it because I'm a purist, but I don't want to be a dick either. But Watchmen, what was interesting is Dave Gibbons, or Alan Moore if you want to say Alan Moore, because he's a very strict writer, they were working off a uniform grid where everything had the same size panel and fit in this thing. But whenever they wanted a grand moment, they would take 3 and make it 1. So instead of a row of 3, they would have 1 and then 3, 3, 3. It was a 12 grid. That one panel, even though it was only a quarter of the page, felt so big because of context, right? Context is another tool of comic book storytelling. Long Space Cow, so long Space Cowboy. Yeah, oh yeah, I like Space Dandy too. Yeah, Grave Fireflies is a tough one. What up, Rooster Punch? How are you, sir? Could you please show the drawing again? I had stepped away and didn't see it the way it turned out. Yeah, absolutely, man. My pleasure. Here you go. Here it is. It is Batman hopping up out of his Batmobile. Muddy, flopping and sloshing through the mud. So then we have a question from Jason. The word convention made me think of another question. How do you feel about the Hollywood direction cons have been going towards, opposed to the mainly about the artists, writers, and creators? Well, let's talk about that for a second. I feel of two minds regarding that, because what that does, what having those celebrities, voiceover actors, actors, musicians, cosplay people, is it brings in a crowd, right? And in order for these conventions to exist, they need the crowd. Now, what'll happen is a couple of things. Some of the people that are there to see, let's say, Jason Momoa, for example, they've never bought a comic in their life, but they know he's coming to town and they want to visit him, so they buy the ticket, they buy the package, they go get him taken. So there's a couple things that can happen there. Number one, they go, they get their picture, they get their package, they meet him, they go home. Or two, they go, they meet him, they go, well, we're here, let's walk around, and they find something. Oh shit, look at this Doctor Who thing. I didn't know they made this kind of stuff. Doubtful, Whovian is a Whovian, and they know about everything. Bad example. But you know what I'm saying. They find something, and all of a sudden, it expands their mind, and it expands their avenues, you know? Which makes me think of another thing, but we'll talk about it on another show. You guys remind me about it. The concept of otaku versus cultural appropriation. Those two ideas. The concept of otaku versus cultural appropriation. But going back to the convention thing, I mean, it's tough because you go, I'm in Artist Alley, and nobody's coming to see art. You know, why is that? Oh, they're all here to get that. And, you know, someone comes with $300 in their pocket and they're spending it all on these expensive packages. Not necessarily. The people that are there for you are going to be there for you. And what you got to do is you got to work harder at your table to attract that person that may not necessarily know who you are or care about comics, that are there to see Jason Momoa, and they walk by and you know, give them a reason to talk to you. That's my opinion. So I'm of two minds. Like, yeah, I miss old school comic shows where it's just comics, retailers, publishers. Boom. Yeah, those are good shows. I love them. They feel good. Like, I felt like Terrificon felt a lot like that, and East Coast Comic Con did too. They had some celebrities, but I very much felt at home there. But anyway, that's what I got. Let's see. I know Larson experiments with panel layouts often. He sure does. Eric Larson is a terrific storyteller. Yeah, Rooster Puncher. We are very close to the end. We're at 126, and it is a school night, as well, code word school night, but legit it's a school night. So that means I have to get up before the sun to wake up my children, to have them be mad at me, angry. I don't want to get 5 more minutes. All the shit that I used to say when I was a kid, but I want 5 more minutes. All right, we have time for one more question. Yeah, see, Matt, I got to do Heroes Con. Heroes Con, that's what I hear. Ed Piscor had told me that Heroes Con is like one of his favorite shows, for many reasons, So we have time. We have time for one more question. I want to take this time on the in between to put on my hat and thank you. We're back in, and we're gonna get us some pheasants. Yeah, I got me some buckshot. That shit's delicious, man. It gives it a mineral taste. You ever eat a jackrabbit with a bit of shot, and it clicks on your feelings, and it makes it like an electric bolt come out? I only know that voice because my buddy Braxton, I got a buddy, Matt knows him as well, Braxton Olita. We do this whole thing. His name is Jasper and my name is Jessup, and we talk about cooking up possums and nutri-rats and the whole nine, and distilling some fine grains to make us some spurts, to make our moonshine shine the moon so we can shine and wine and dine. Sorry, man. I cracked myself up. Terrible. Hey, yo, what up, Critias? Dude, you came in on the vapors, man. You came in on the vapors. You know what, Critias? I think if you have any questions, since you didn't see it, I'm going to pop this in. Okay, today's word was tread. Okay? Today's word was tread. So I drew the tread on this crazy Batmobile, and I had his doors open up like this instead of just a hatch. Got the mud like he's hopping back in. The car's driving itself. It's self-driving. It's got spikes, all that good stuff. Yo, dip is nasty. No joke. I remember first time I tried it was I was 12, and I swallowed the juice, and I did not want it again. And then, this is where too, now you're bringing back memories. You guys remember, and they probably still exist, I just wouldn't know because I don't use the shit. You guys remember Skull Bandits? They had the peppermint, and they had the spearmint, and the wintergreen, and the regular flavors. Remember Skull Bandits? I remember when I was a kid, my stepdad took me to a lot of motorcycle racing events over at Laguna Seca. And those reps were handing out Skull Bandits to children, including myself. And I tried them. It made me dizzy and shit. I did not like the way it made me feel. I did not like that lightheadedness. So I didn't chew. If you could become one of your characters' works of art, which one would you choose and why? I think the two that I most relate to out of all my characters, not counting the Grave because the character in there is loosely based upon my younger self, but if I could be any character, there would be a toss-up between Spot and Raiden from Black Flag. And the reason for that is Raiden's like Doctor Strange, and where he journeys into other dimensions and other filters of our reality. And I touch upon that in The Grave a little bit about, you know, if there are frequencies of light and sound that we can't hear, and like if you take polarized glasses and you put them on and it cuts out the vertical rays of light versus the horizontal rays, and that's why you can see. Well, what if our actual vision is cutting out hundreds of waves of light and there's tons of things we could see? Anyway, Raiden, the fact that he can go in and out of those. And then Spot. Spot would be the other one because he can go into magazines. He can go into a TV set, grab things out. He can reach into an iPad and grab a handgun and shoot you with it. Like that to me is the coolest power ever. And coincidentally, this Black Flag story very much centers around those two characters. What comic would you maybe be your biggest regret? I had a couple of opportunities at Marvel that I blew. And they're not regrets. Like, I don't regret working on anything. But as far as the way I handled situations, I would say the Generation X annual, 97, because I did those last 18 pages in one sitting. That's pretty fucked up and regretful and shameful. And same thing with What If. I think it's What If 103 or 104, but it's got Iron Man choking Captain America on the cover. And I did like the last 12 pages of that one in one sitting. So I did a bad. What up, J Potts? Let's see. I did get dip high. Yeah, see, Critias, I like those kind of characters, and sort of the root of that idea, like Chauncey, going back to your thing about personal and original, the idea of Spot for me was an amalgamation of things from when I was a kid. So we didn't have a lot of money, and we had, and anybody that's of the age before Amazon and remembers these places, there were a place called Best. Obviously, we had Sears, Montgomery Wards, but what my grandmother used to have us do is she would give us catalogs at Christmas time and say, "Let me know what you want. Write down the page number and item number so I know what it is," right? And we would flip through these things. And I remember as a kid going, "Oh man, I wish I could just go into that photo shoot and like play with the toys for a couple of hours. Like, how cool would that be?" And then also there was and this is a great comic, there was a Ninja Turtles miniseries. And Donatello was one, and he had this special pencil that he got it from his pal Kirby. And it had a gem, and whatever he drew, he could make it come to life. So that's kind of like, I put those things together for Spot, and that's how I came up with him. Let's see. If Image were to come out with an animated movie, what would you like to see made? That's a tough one. Oh, shit. That's really tough. No, I'd like to see a Blood Wolf movie. How about that? I'd like to see Blood Wolf. Blood Wolf from Rob Liefeld done in that sort of way. I think that would be exciting. I think that would be a whole lot of fun. Anyhow, guys, do me a favor if you can. Please thumbs up this page, share it, tell people about it, tell them you like it if you like it. We're going to be doing more things. We're going to be doing more stuff. It's on the way. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow. I'm not sure I'm taking these prompts one day at a time. My head hurts. My head really hurts. I haven't worked this hard and in such a concentration in a long time. So I'm looking forward to going to bed. You can see I didn't even drink my drink. I had a couple of sips. But anyhow, you guys stay awesome. Hopefully you guys, I'll see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Zaid, what's up, homie? We will be approaching. And then, heads up, Friday, I fly up to Boston to go to the Comic Bash in New Hampshire on Saturday. So Friday night, I will be doing this live from up north or northeastern territories, maybe from the Room of Doom. What up, Peter? Thank you, sir. Very appreciated. And then Saturday, I'm going to shoot some stuff at the show at Comic Bash. I'm going to try to get Tucci and Palmiotti and Connor and that bastard Frank Thierry. I call him that because I love him. And see if Jerry Tucci will get on there. But I'm going to see. So Saturday is going to be fun. Sunday, I'm not sure when I fly. Hopefully I'll be home in time to do this. And I will do it if I have to, hell or high water. But anyhow, you guys, be well. You have been watching the Couchdoodles Live with your host, Fragaboom. I'll see you guys later.
DMC, the place to be, Fragaboom!